The formula for a romantic comedy is pretty much set in stone, and can be summed up in a few words. Boy meets girl, hijinks ensue, the two grow closer, and of course, fall in love. Apparently, when mangaka Hikaru Nakamura wrote her series Arakawa Under the Bridge, no one briefed her on this little guideline, because what she created is one of the most original and bizarre takes on both romance and comedy I've ever seen. Like any good rom-com, it starts off introducing our boy and girl. The boy is the heir to the largest company in Japan, whose family motto is never be indebted to anyone. In the 21 years of his life, he has lived by this motto until one day he falls off of a bridge, almost drowns, and is saved by our girl, Nino. Ko, now owing his life to her, finds himself in a debt he can't pay back. Nino's only request is to experience love. Ko, not being able to refuse his savior, agrees, and so begins their unusual relationship. Unfortunately, this arrangement isn't what our male lead expected. As lovers, they must now live together. The only problem with this is that Nino lives under the Arakawa bridge, as in the bridge that Ko fell from. Things get even weirder when Ko discovers the young lady has a case of the batshit fucking crazies, which starts rambling off nonsense about being a Venetian and displays a complete lack of common sense. The madness train keeps on chugging as Ko discovers Nino isn't the only resident under the bridge. Not only do other people live there, but Ko also learns that they have even formed a self-sufficient community. With a premise this odd, it's no wonder that it became a big hit in Japan. After all, this is the country that brought us tentacle porn and sentais, and of course we get an anime adaptation. The production was headed by Shaft, and the man placed in the director's chair was their go-to madman Akiyuki Shimbo, an auteur known for his bizarre imagery, his unique use of colors, shadows, and camera angles, and a tendency to stray away from the source material that he's adapting. Now all these elements, which I'll be referring to as Shimbo-isms for the remainder of this video, are present in this anime, except for the last one. Unlike most of his work, where he'll add in random bullshit to the foreground, or pop up images of whatever he wants, or just throw out the original story and start from scratch, here Shimbo has reined himself in, went light on the Shimbo-isms, and produced a very faithful adaptation. Now this may be partially due to how outlandish and screwy the manga is. The synopsis I gave earlier barely scratched the surface of how fucked in the head the series can get. The humor is very bipolar, sometimes being slow and quirky in the vein of Azumanga Daioh, and then immediately shifting gears to the type of rapid-fire what-the-fuckery one might expect from Excel Saga. A good chunk of the randomness comes from the residents under the bridge that I spoke of earlier. Each one is an unusual yet oddly fleshed out character that really doesn't fit into any pre-existing archetype. And since learning more about this assemblage of characters is where a lot of the show's humor comes from, I'll forego the characters section of the review and leave it out there really fucking weird. Now, over-the-top comedy isn't all Arakawa has to offer. Underneath all the gags and the constant barrage of jokes, there's a surprisingly touching romance to be found here. Though the characters Nino and Ko may not be relatable, their relationship certainly is. In the beginning, we're introduced to two people who obviously lived very sheltered lives, who are thrown into a relationship with very little knowledge of the subject, and over the course of the season develop genuine feelings for one another as they learn what it means to be a couple. The most unusual aspect of their romance is how they are two grown adults that approach their relationship with a kind of awkward naivete that one would expect from a couple of grade schoolers. And it's that boiled down simplicity that gives the relationship a lot of charm and endearment that you don't get from most anime romances. As for the production, those not familiar with Shaft's work will be in for a treat. The animation team combined with all the Shimbo-isms create a very spectacular feast for the eyes, and displays a type of budget one wouldn't expect from an anime toting the tag of romantic comedy. The colors are bright and vivid, the animation is smooth and lively. If I were to give the visuals any negative marks, it would be for the character designs. Though they do stay on model and don't look particularly bad, they unfortunately have a very plain and uninspired look to them. That really doesn't fit with the tone of the series. But that's the only fault I could really find with the visuals, and every other aspect of the animation is top notch. Now this release is subtitled only, so there's no English dub for me to critique, which is a bit of a disappointment seeing as the distributor that licensed it is Nipponichi, which is best known for the Disgaea series, a collection of tactical RPGs that have some of the best dubs in the video game industry.
What is this?
It's a humiliating photo of you.
I can see that!
The lack of a dub is unfortunate, but isn't that big of a deal, since the Japanese track does sound great. Each seiyuu delivers an over-the-top performance that perfectly nails the eccentricities of their character. The big standout performer here is Hiroshi Kamiya as Ko, who's probably best known for his leading roles in both Sayonara Zetsubou Sensei and Bakemonogatari. Though if you're familiar with either one of those animes, you've probably already seen Arakawa and are going, well, duh. Even though Ko is the quote normal guy the audience is supposed to relate to, Kamiya's performance easily makes him one of the most entertaining characters. His ability to go from being a very stoic, arrogant intellectual to a panicking, rambling mess gives Ko a lot of personality, and really captures the image of a man who's trying to maintain his intellectual high ground, only to have it crumble beneath his feet when bombarded with all the nonsensical antics of the people around him. which really makes him a surprisingly deep character. Well, deep for a rom-com. As for the release itself, the Blu-ray sports a native 1080p render that looks perfect. The image is sharp, the colors are vibrant, and it's easily one of the best looking animated shows I've seen on Blu-ray. The DVD doesn't fall too short on the quality bar either. Though the colors are a bit muted and it lacks the crisp details of its HD counterpart, the render for the DVD is about as good as you're going to get for that format. And when played on an upscaling DVD player, the difference in quality isn't as big. The most noticeable difference between the two formats are the subtitles. On the Blu-ray they look very clean and high res, where on the DVD it's the standard pixelated text that you would expect to see from the format. If you don't speak Japanese, then I'd say this alone is reason enough to choose the Blu-ray, since the subtitles are something you're going to be seeing on the screen most of the time. While I'm on the topic of the subtitles, I should mention a couple of issues I had with them. The first being the lack of subtitles for the character Stella when she speaks English, which is odd seeing as when other characters say something in English, they put subs for them. I'm assuming this is because she's from England, and that's her native language. The problem with this being it didn't cast an English-speaking actress, so her pronunciation is almost as bad as the rest of the cast. Though it's not indecipherable, it is easy to miss what she's saying if you're not expecting it, and this happens a few times over the course of the 13 episodes. The second problem I had was the lack of translation notes for Japanese words that don't have English equivalents, specifically shirikodama, which I had to look up later, though I could have done without that little piece of knowledge. Turns out a shirikodama is a mystical ball inside of the anus that Kappa eat. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little piece of information just as much as I did. Other than that, the subtitles are fine and are free of any typos. As for special features, the set includes Japanese ads for the series, as well as commentaries for most of the episodes by the voice actors where they talk to each other about their experiences working on the show. Since all of these are in Japanese, of course they have their own subtitle tracks. The only downside about this is sometimes the actors will talk over one another and it's easy to lose track of the subs and who's saying what. The major add-in for this box set is this: a large hardbound book that has character information, episode summaries, artwork, and interviews with both Nakamura and Shimbo. They're the mangaka and director in case you already forgot. For a bonus item, it's a really nice addition. The downside is that the oversized book requires an oversized DVD box, which may not fit on some bookshelves. Besides that, this is an overall fantastic release. Nippon Ichi has done a great job making their way into the anime distribution business, by grabbing relatively niche anime and giving it a high-end premium release that's likely to appeal to the hardcore otaku demographic. Now, if you're not down with paying top dollar for an art book and an oversized box that may not fit on your shelf, just wait it out, and eventually Nippon Ichi will put out a standard edition. Though I really like this set, I do have one complaint about it, which is that they went the DVD Blu-ray combo route, instead of doing separate versions. Now I know I'm in the minority on this topic, but I just can't see the appeal. But that's my personal gripe. I don't know, maybe there's something I'm not getting. Okay, to wrap things up, Arakawa Under the Bridge is an amazing series. Nakamura's otherworldly sense of humor combined with Shimbo's visual flair make for an unforgettable anime. Now I will warn you that the comedy may be a little too out of left field for some people. If anything I've said about this series sounds like it's just too weird for your taste, then it probably is. Now if you're the type of person that loves their comedy as ridiculous as it can possibly get, or if you've seen and enjoyed some of Shimbo's other works like Pane Pone Dash, Maria Holic, or Negima, not the original shitty one but the awesome one with the question mark at the end, then this anime is something that you should definitely grab a copy of, or at very least look into. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you have some free time, check out some of these other videos I made. And if there's a certain video you would like me to make, comment, let me know, and I'll see what I can do.